Principally, what we want to do this morning is, or this afternoon, is just to announce that we are reintroducing SB 1XX, which used to be SB 1002. It was the expenditure of $611 million of previously approved bond money for various water projects. This is money that the voters said spend. It's money that will immediately go into the system and dealing with flood management, flood control. In my own area, in the Bay Area, in Marin County, in Senator Migden's district, there is $20 million for flood management, flood control. Significant there is that 2 years ago in San Anselmo there was a major flood, and this past weekend they shut down the commercial district because they were concerned that there would be another flood as there was 2 years ago. Well, this is money that was specifically put in this bond into 1E in order to be used for projects like this. The governor last time, his veto message was that he did not want to see things done in a piecemeal way. I hope now we've prevailed upon him to say that this is not piecemeal. This has been done thoughtfully. When you have the kind of rain and the kind of snowpack that we've been fortunate to have for the past couple of weeks, that means that aquifers that are currently polluted, had they been cleaned or when they are cleaned, could be filled with this water. So standing on ceremony and talking about above or below ground storage is not the argument to have. Right now is to clean it up and allow them to fill up. And it's not to say that future needs are going to necessarily be met, but present needs will be. So we're going to move this as fast as we can, get it on the governor's desk, and hopefully this time he will put a signature on it.
Senator, on Thursday when the emergency fiscal declaration kicks in, what do you want to see happen?
Well, I'm anxious to see what it's going to be. You know, what the number is that we have to cut out of the present budget, and then, of course, what we're going to be faced with in the new budget. I really didn't realize until today that the governor had intended to simultaneously create a call for the state of fiscal emergency and introduce his budget. A while back, he had talked about declaring it today. And then I think people thought that you would be stepping all over his state of the state, so they deferred it. But I'm just waiting. I don't, you know, I've had little smatterings of what things may or may not be done. We've all been told there'll be a 10% across the board cut. I've been in business long enough to know that you really can't cut 10% everywhere. It's just not practically or sometimes constitutionally possible. So we'll look at what he's going to give us, and then we're going to have to digest it and see where we go. We have 45 days, which puts the out date February 23rd, by which time we need to act on the recommendations. He is also, as I understand it, going to ask us to make not only cuts for the present year, but to start making cuts for the coming budget year in order to get the savings, as much savings as possible. And hopefully my counterpart in the Republican caucus will be of a same mind that what we do, we must do together. This should not be, just Democrats and the governor. The Republicans, some of them I know have been gloating, saying, "You see, we told you that the sky was going to fall. Chicken Little was right." But now, having said that, having recognized that they played a very important role in calling this to our attention, now we have to get on with the hard work of governing a budget that has to be severely cut. I don't think that, I don't think we have we can afford the luxury of saying we have lines in the sand for any particular program. The fact of the matter is, when you start cutting education, particularly in the year of education that has been declared, and with the backdrop of the studies that have been done by Stanford and Rand, that we know there's a lot more we got to do just to get to where we should be in California. So I think it's illustrative of just how much trouble financially we are in, and education, among other things. I mean, education, people who are getting health care services in their home, it makes the difference between whether they can live in their homes, not live in their homes. There are no good choices here. These are all very bad choices. And everything is going to be on the table. Nothing is going to be exempt. Some people have said, well, you can't do this. The fact of the matter is everything has to be there. We have to see it as a state budget, not a budget based upon a hierarchy of special interests.
Does that mean that tax hikes are true on the table for Democrats this year?
Well, you know, I've said, and I'll say again, we're not going to cut our way out of this. You know, if we went into the surgery on this body and started cutting, there wouldn't be anything left of the body. But you can't pass taxes in this building unless you have Republican support. They've made it pretty clear that they're opposed to that. So we're going to have to. That's going to have to become part of the discussion. I do want to have that discussion with Republicans, but right now, doing anything ahead of when what the governor is going to announce and what we're faced with and what he's recommending is really precipitous. This is really, the governor is really the one in the wheelhouse here, and we have to pay attention to what he's going to recommend, and we're going to have to work off of that. But I don't want to prejudge anything he's going to do. He's got a hard job. This is a day that I'm sure he hoped never would come. It's here. So we want to wait, give him the deference of listening to what he has to say, what he's proposing, why he's proposing it, and then we'll go to work. Now, my legislative priorities this year are singular. It is to make sure that, as dramatic as I think the financial problems of this state are this year, there are manifold opportunities available to us to begin to make structural changes, to make the changes in the way in which we finance certain programs and who has the authority and the responsibility. And I've said for years, ever since Prop 13 passed, a lot of the funding responsibility and the decision-making has shifted to Sacramento. And it's sort of counterintuitive and contrary to everything that we know about people who like decisions that are made locally better. They feel more comfortable with them. They'll support things if they're going on locally as opposed from Sacramento. So we have an opportunity here, and I've told the governor, we ought to be looking at taking advantage of those opportunities, bringing in the best ideas, and then let's talk about putting them out there as part of the way California is going to adjust, not only today, to the future.